Music leaks are pretty interesting. We just had a pretty big one with the Dave Matthews Band over this past weekend, which is now being donned the Batson Sessions, which is a sort of sequel, I guess, to the Lillywhite Sessions, which were the old Steve Lillywhite produced stuff that got abandoned in favor of Every Day when the band took a little bit of a change of direction. But we look at this big music leak from the Dave Matthews Band. I'm going to play you some stuff here so you can get a little bit of a sample of it, because I know it's going up online and being taken down pretty fast, but it's still pretty prevalent online. Music leaks have been going on for a really, really, really long time. I mean, a long time. For those of you youngins out there that think this just started with the internet, it got put into hyperdrive with the internet for sure. But 1969 was about the first time we could remember a leaked session, and that came from the great Bob Dylan, and the Great White Wonder was a leaked album. He had put together some of this stuff. It started to get put out. It was being pressed and made its way through record store. And by the way, leaked material, bootleg material, so much more fun back in the day. So much more fun. I mean, I'm not one of these people that is like, oh, back in the old days were so much better. I'm not like one of those people. I look forward to the future. I like technology. I like social media. I feel like we're headed for way better times ahead than where we were. I'm not one of these doom and gloom, Twitter's going to bring us down kind of people. That's not me. I'm looking forward to the future. But it was a lot more fun. The hunt, it was bigger. You know, I used to go into the city and you find something, you're like, oh my God, look at this. Like just, whether it was, board recordings or, mixing board recordings or whatever it was, but you'd find this stuff and it always had bad photos and it was always super expensive. I mean, I can remember buying albums for like $75, just ridiculous amount of money. Just you're buying it, the quality stunk and you got burned sometimes and you hated it, but it was still, the hunt was great. Or you'd go into the city, go to Bleecker or whatever, and you'd get something, and you'd be like, oh, this is awesome. But I remember talking to, I don't even know where I was, but I talked to somebody, and I was like, I love this. And this guy was like, you think that we have some good bootlegs, you should go to whatever store he told me to. And like, that was like, that was the hunt, as a young kid, you're like, all right, awesome, man, I got to get home for curfew. But next week, I'm going out. I'm going to go to wherever in the city and hit some bootlegs. It was fun. When I first got wind of the Batson Sessions, I had the entire thing within 3 minutes. Okay, so a little bit of a bigger disappointment. Like it was like that. I mean, I love the ease and convenience of it, but it was like back in the day, you were on a. It wasn't like going to. It was like an espionage mission. You had a meal, you got on the train, you went into the city. You had to seek it out. You had to find people. There was disappointment. Cars drove by and splashed puddles in your face. Like it was a whole thing. It was a bigger thing. Now I just Google. It's very easy to find. Very easy to find. So that's a little bit less thrilling. But yeah, 69 and Dylan with the Great White Wonder, which the story behind the name of the album comes from. They just literally were putting things in a white vinyl sleeve. It was a white paper vinyl sleeve, and so people started calling it the Great White Wonder. Later on, they would start putting stamps on it once it started sort of gaining a momentum, but a lot of that was, a lot of it was just all kind of by accident. But it was good stuff that was on that record with Dylan and the band, and, we look at Dylan's bootleg series now and all the stuff that he's releasing now. It's really become a thing. And pre-internet too, by the way. So Napster really put everything in hyperdrive, but when you go back and you look at some of the early leaks besides Dylan, there was a great one back in 93. Depeche Mode's New Songs of Faith and Devotion leaked to fans in online chat rooms. This was not only pre-modern internet, pre-Napster, but pre-MP3. MP3s weren't even a thing in 93 when the Depeche Mode album leaked. So you may not even know that album leaked, because it was really hard to come by, but these were back in the MP2 days. Yeah, there was a 2 before the 3. Most of them leaked in WAV files, and back in the dial-up days, to download a WAV file, do you know what that took? It was like a half hour, 45 minutes, just to get one 3-minute song on a WAV file over a dial-up connection. But you know how people were finding it? AOL chat rooms. AOL chat rooms. NSL question mark was more like Depeche Mode. DM question mark. Yeah, those creepy AOL chat room days. That's how Depeche Mode and their 1993 album got leaked. Again, we don't exactly know how, but we know how it was discovered. One of the secretaries in their record label, I don't even know which one it is, Warner Brothers? Warner? Yeah, one of the secretaries ran into the Warner president's office and was like, "Do you know the album's online?" And the guy was like, "What's online?" I don't know. I made up that last part, but that's how I think it went down. So there was that one. There's a couple other fun, notable ones. Of course, there was the Napster thing. When was Wilco? Wilco was post Napster, right? The Napster leak, the first big Napster leak, which really started the whole Napster thing, which a lot of people don't talk about, but Metallica did the soundtrack to Mission Impossible, and they released that song. That found its way onto Napster at first. And then, radio stations picked it up and started playing it, and Lars from Metallica got real angry. And that's when the whole Metallica versus Napster thing started. A lot of people think it was after that, but it was actually that moment where Lars was like, this is ridiculous. Because I think it took like 2 years from the time of the leak till the time that or a year or so, to the time that the actual song leaked, till the time that whole lawsuit came down. Wilco had their famous one. Yankee Hotel Foxtrot was a big one where Warner Brothers didn't even want to put it out. So they took it and decided, all right, well, we'll put it out. So that was the first self-induced kind of leak, or one of the big self-induced kind of leaks. And they actually worked with Apple for the first time on that one to help get that out and stream it direct from their website. So that was a pretty momentous occasion. And then I think, there was a lot of others. Kanye's album had leaked, and there was a bunch of others, Radiohead. But the Lillywhite Sessions was a super big one for the Dave Matthews Band, because they went in a different direction and put out every day. Then we would get a solo Dave record from that, and then this whole lore of this album that we were supposed to get from Steve Lillywhite, it never came to fruition, is out there and it's available. And this was early tape trading days. And eventually a lot of people got their hands on the Lillywhite Sessions. And, I can remember scouring internet websites. I probably lost a good laptop or two just to find that record. I wound up getting it from somebody in person anyway. And listen to that. You won't hear that in much places. EHM, I'll play it on occasion on EHM. Not supposed to. The lawyers are listening. This is a bit. I'm just making it up, but play a couple tracks. But anyway, so that was a big deal for the band. And now we have the Batson Sessions. And what's a little bit different about this is the Lillywhite Sessions was a cry for, oh my God, the band that we love is changing. But here is this, bastion of music that sounds like the old version of the group. Let's release it. Whereas, this one is kind of totally different. A lot of the songs that are on the record from the Bastion, because I said Bastion, I'm all messed up now. Batson Sessions found its way onto Come Tomorrow. So here's, this is Come On, which is titled Come On, Come on the new record. Sounds very similar. But you can kind of hear how completely, unfinished and unpolished this really is. And this is just kind of like jamming in the studio. You hear the vocals. The vocals aren't processed whatsoever. They're not as good as on a finished product.
There is a time for holding on to when there is a time for letting go, you said.
So I think the obsession is with leaked material is like we're not supposed to have this. And if you like Come Tomorrow, which I personally do, I like that record a lot. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. You can hear how different this is from what the finished product was. and how that little extra work really, really makes a difference. Really, really makes a difference. Here's one of the tracks that's not on Come Tomorrow, called Early Home, which is about a man coming home to find his lover in the arms of another lover. Scandalous.
Early home to surprise my love and find my love in another's arms. My heart flew from love to rage when I read my love the final bitter page. Still warm though no embrace, her empty eyes on her empty face, and I will still rue the day. Why did I not just walk away? If I had only called to let her know, she'd have had a chance to get him out the door. A simple thing, but it's too late. The moment I've sealed her killer's fate. You could see right through me all the way.
Pretty poetic and pretty strong. One of the very heartfelt tunes on the Batson Sessions here. If you're a fan of Robert Randolph like I am, you're going to enjoy this one. This is a 9-minute jam with Robert Randolph. That is from the Batson Sessions, just leaked over the weekend. And that is actually titled Robert Randolph. The funny thing is the titles on some of these tracks: soprano guitar, ABC, Robert Randolph, Fonz, which is Stefan Lassard's nickname in the band. Some good track names on here. So the story behind the record is, and this is all very early on rumors, but similar to other leaks, message boards, fan sites and such, DMB Hub, DMB Family on Facebook, Ants Marching, DMB Almanac, a couple of others. Apparently some young lady posted a picture of 3 discs and was boasting about she had some unreleased Dave Matthews Band material. How she got it, we don't have any idea, but from what I understand from reading a lot of things on the mess, and again, this is just hearsay. This is all just hearsay, allegedly. There's some sort of a relationship with her and former touring piano player Butch Taylor. So whether he did it or not, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? We still don't even know how Lillywhite's came out. A lot of people still think that it was just Steve Lillywhite putting it out. When they asked him about it, he was like, yeah, I don't care. I forgot what his comment was, but he was like, hey, I'm glad people are hearing it. I worked really hard on it. So, again, there's little reason for Mark Batson to put this out. There's no ill will. He's one of the producers on the new record, so there's no real advantage to him putting it out. I've read some crazy theories about the fact that Boyd Tinsley put it out. I just find that incredibly hard to believe. He's got plenty on his plate to keep him occupied. And there's not like that, again, there's not like that feeling of like people have to hear this stuff. Like, this is just flat out unfinished material. There's a couple of great little nuggets on here that's like, wow, this song's great. Why didn't this Come Tomorrow? But for the most part, there's no real driving force behind it. So this young lady posted these photos. Lore started going crazy, like, where is these? How can we get these? Apparently there was some sort of deal where she was going to sell them, and then that kind of went away. Somebody was offering a lot of money to buy them. Apparently lawyers or law enforcement got involved and shut that down. And then a few weeks later, bam, they just started leaking out. Message board posts here, Facebook posts there, onto YouTube it goes, and then that's it. It's just everywhere. There's 2 discs. There's 16 tracks on one disc, which is from the spring of 2006. And then there's 17 tracks from another disc from the winter of 2006. Obviously, a break there for touring. Similar thing happened to the Lillywhite Sessions. That was here, this is what we've been working on. In fact, for a long time, the Lillywhite Sessions were called Summer So Far because somebody wrote on the original disc that, like, it was basically like, here's what we have from the Summer So Far. So Summer So Far kind of became the other name for the Lillywhite Sessions. But this, we have 2 out of the 3 discs. There's no word on what's on that third disc. People have been, saying rumors. It's just like little bits and pieces, and that's why that wasn't put out. But you can definitely distinctively hear the difference. I spent some time with this over the weekend. You can hear the difference between the spring material and the winter material. The winter material with the 17 tracks has a lot more finished stuff on them, where that spring 16 track disc has that sort of a, I guess, just more of a demo kind of a feel. There's like a lot of drum machines on the record, which is a thing for Mark. He likes drum machines. He's done a lot of work with hip hop artists, so a lot of synthesizer, a lot of drum machine work. But you can tell like they were filling in stuff while I guess Carter hadn't arrived yet, or whatever the case may be. This is still the Robert Randolph Jam. And we have some songs on here that we've heard live. Can't Stop, some stuff that actually made Come Tomorrow. But things like Break Free, which we've heard live, that didn't make Come Tomorrow. The Idea of You, that made both. Sister, which has been a concert stalwart, especially with Dave and Tim. This is a track called Kill the King. Get a good band vibe on this one.
Some awful news for you, sunshine so laid back. In ballrooms and back rooms, there's men playing games, and the balance left you and me. They say that they're fighting for us, baby, but don't you believe?
You can hear a microphone pop right there, right? Like, just a lot of imperfections.
You save the world every time you walk in the rooms you do. You alone will save my soul. Just your smile makes me think that I could kill the king, kill the king. Just your laugh makes me know that I could kill the king, kill him.
I'm trying to think if there's else is good for. Oh, Break For It's pretty good. That's not on Come Tomorrow. What all? That's all. So yeah, the band hasn't reacted. In fact, nobody's really said anything publicly. I've reached out to Mark Batson. I have his and another contact info from another interview that never went through. They haven't gotten back to me. But if they do make any statements or anything else, we'll be sure to follow it here on the morning show.
Will we find peace anywhere when you hold me, girl? It all falls far away, but only if I could always feel this way. Can't help but think that come on, let's take a ride. Come on, just you and me. Come on, let's make it. Break for it, baby. Let's make it. Place of our own.
By the way, this is totally like stand-up vibe stuff. Like, this is exactly how the band sounded in '06 with Mark Batson. And we had a bunch of actually stuff from that. I remember there was a bonus disc with Sugar Will on it and a couple of other studio tracks that didn't make the mix. So this was like a real fruitful time for the band. They put a lot of material together. And I think that was the driving force in Come Tomorrow, because that has a lot of stuff from these sessions on it. We talked about this, some of the material on there being 12 years old, and now we actually get to hear what it sounded like 12 years ago. It's kind of a cool little history lesson. Again, if the band says anything, we'll have it for you. If we find out how this all leaked, we'll have it for you. We'll see what happens with this and other material. Take your thoughts on it, of course, in the comments, and we'll link up, the link to the actual full sessions so you guys can take a listen to it.
Let's make a break for it, baby.
Let's see here. Lisa writing in, Ant, do you feel guilty at all for listening to this material or playing it on the air? I heard you on Saturday talk about it. I started listening to it right then and there and felt a little guilty. Yeah, I do, actually. Do feel a little smidge guilt. Smidge on the guilt. I do, but, I don't know. I love the band so much. Like, anytime there's new material, it's so hard for fans to ignore that kind of a thing, Really, really hard to. So that is the Batson Sessions and what we know right now at this very moment. We get more. We'll pass it along to you for sure.